So welcome to tonight's Zoom. I'm Amanda Gully. I know we have a lot of guests. I'm a triple diamond. I went triple this year. And I was so excited to ask Kelsey to get on tonight. And I've known her for a couple of years, kind of been around her a few times, but it was in Austin when she I just was like, I love her. I have a girl crush. Because she just dominated the stage when she was on there, and you could just feel, if you were in Austin, put a 1 in the chat, you could feel her passion for all the things it works, but really for the life that she created for herself. But she had a passion for it before she even had it, which was even more amazing because you felt that. So Kelsey, to start out, I want you to tell us your story because a lot of my girls do not know it.
Yeah, for sure. So hi guys, I'm so excited to be on here. I just want to give a shout out to those of you who have your video on. I always love talking to people who have videos on because it just makes me feel like I'm actually talking to people and not just to pictures. So I appreciate that so much. And thank you so much, Amanda, for having me on. So for those of you guys who join this business for $500, put like a 1 in the comments if you were like, I just need like 500, like that's it, like 5 Benjamins and I'll be set. And that's really what I joined for. I did not know that people made a career out of this. I really didn't. I jumped in, honestly, you guys, for some superficial hair and nail money. And I always joke that now my hair and nail money has turned into like hair and nail and eyelashes and spray tan and all of these other things, right? But I think that for me, it was really that freedom that I was looking for. Freedom of nobody telling me what to do with my bank account, freedom of time, just like freedom to like not have to be a prisoner to my bank account. So if you flash forward to like as I kind of got started, or before I got started, I was a mortgage officer at a bank. And my husband was a Division I basketball coach. And with his career, we moved around a lot. And I kind of knew, you know, when I signed the papers to be his wife, that career would probably take precedent over anything that I did. So if an opportunity for his job came up, we would be moving. And when we moved from Charlotte to Indiana, I took like a more than a 50% pay cut from my previous job. And I just felt like, oh, okay, things are tight. Then I found out we were pregnant. And then, and tight is relative. I use that term loosely, but I want you guys to understand, because one thing that I struggled with when I first started is, you hear all these amazing stories of people going from like food stamps to millionaires or welfare to millionaire. But like for me, that wasn't the case. Me saying things were tight is me not being able to get my hair and my nails done. Other people saying things are tight is them saying that they're not able to put food on the table. So just know that don't like feel bad if your why is not that desperate, because it's just as important to you. Right? Like your why, like my why, I was fighting for that because that was so important to me. And so I found out I was pregnant. And I just was like, okay, no, this is going to be even more tight. But I had never, just to be completely honest with you guys, I had never really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom full time. I love having the freedom to take my kids to doctor's appointments, to do the things. But I never necessarily wanted to be home with them 24/7. I've always been passionate about having a career of my own or doing something of my own. And so I just remember feeling like, okay, I was paying for her daycare after she was born, and she was 4 months old. And I'll never forget, we were driving to this really nice part of Indianapolis. And I was like, who lives in these houses? Have you guys ever driven, put a 2 in the comments, if you've ever driven through a neighborhood and you are literally like, what are these people doing? Like, I just am so confused. Like that's literally what made me join the business. I'm not even kidding. So I was just like driving through this neighborhood, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Indianapolis is kind of a big city. There's probably like, 100 CEOs that like would make really good money. But like, what the heck are all these other people doing? Like, what secrets do they know? Because I had done everything right. You guys, I'd gone to school, got my degree, got my master's degree, got a job, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I'm not doing this until I'm 65. This 9 to 5 until I'm 65. No, thank you, ma'am. Okay. And so when I was like asking my husband, we were like kind of half joking, half not joking in the car about it. And he was like, I just feel like everybody has a side hustle. And I was like, oh, yeah. It's like kind of joking, but I was like, no, like, I think you're probably right. And we were just talking about it. And I was like, I don't want to like do like a waitressing side hustle and then be away from my daughter even more. And so we had kind of started just brainstorming. I was like, there is this one girl who I keep seeing post on social media. I've unfollowed her a couple of times. But her son's really cute. So I keep following her. And he was just like, well, what is it? And I'm like, to be honest, I have no idea, but I know she just earned like a big bonus. And he was like, how much was it? I was like, I think it was like a $20,000 bonus. He's like, are you serious? Like, you need to reach out to her and just see what she says. And I was like, I don't know. And I was so hesitant, you guys. And I just remember the next day, it was like God had put this article in front of me and it said that the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. And I was like, okay, God, like I see you. Okay. I just need to, grow a pair and freaking message her and see what the heck is going on. So, that's why I actually messaged her husband because I had known him briefly from college. And I just said, hey, how much money is your wife making a month? Like, if you don't know, I'm red by that question. And it's really probably unacceptable. Like it's a very uncomfortable question now that I'm on the other side of it when people ask me that. But I just didn't know any better. And so and he was like, she makes about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like even if she was making, half of that, I could at least make $500, right? Like, even if she's lying and exaggerating it, doubling what she's actually making, like I could for sure make $500. And, I just like, I was so skeptical, guys. Like I was just so skeptical, but so intrigued at the same time. And I also just felt like, I think it's important. Like my motto has always been like, I'd rather have an oops than a what if. Like I'd rather try it and be like, okay, I tried it. But the thing that my husband said was, if you're going to try this, I don't want you quitting after 2 weeks. Like, I want you to try this, like do it. Okay. Don't basically half butt it. Right. Like, don't do that. And so I was kind of like, okay, like if I'm going to do this, and I'm kind of an all or nothing person anyways. And so I just jumped in and I told myself, like, after I talked to Aaron tweets my enroller. After I talked to Aaron, I was kind of like, okay, like I'm going to give it, she was like, give it a year and it'll change your life. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it 6 months, but I'm going to do whatever you say for 6 months, legit, whatever you say for 6 months. And I'm just going to go hard in the paint. Okay. And so that's what I did, you guys. And I was excited. It wasn't even like, I think that some people join and they're like, okay, I'll give it 6 months, but it's like 6 months of like expecting it to fail, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, I'll give it 6 months, but I don't really think this is going to work out, but I'll give it 6 months. And it's like, that's not really giving it 6 months. Like when I went into my 6 months, I was literally going into it expecting it to work, because I'm a big believer of you can learn anything. Like, and so at that point I hopped in, had no like clue what I was doing. But after I went Ruby, I literally knew I was going to go ambassador. Like I literally, like Brian, I remember like going in and I was like so pumped because at that point there was like $1,000 Ruby bonus. And I was like, babe, like we just earned $1,000 Ruby bonus. And he's like, dang, like that's legit. Like how far do you really think you can go? And I like can picture this moment in my head. It's so crazy. But he was like, how far do you think you can go with it? And I was like, I'm going ambassador. And he was like, great. Like, it's not like he didn't believe in me, but he was kind of like, okay, great. Like, that'd be great if that happened. But it's so funny just to like look back and see, and I'm spending a lot of time telling you guys this because I want you to know that I was just like you at one point. Like I had all of the like skepticism. I had all of the like, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm going to say that I know until I believe it. And I had all of that. And I think that it's just important to realize that, because so many times it's like, when you come into the business and you see people who have already promoted to ambassador, and I know I was the same way when I first came in, you see people who have already promoted, you just don't realize that they had a story before this business. And the beautiful thing is everybody starts at ground zero. Like, nobody came in and was given a chart, like inherited a chart. Like, everybody started with 0 people in their E-suite. Like, I started with 0 people in my E-suite. My first 3 distributors quit. Brian got so frustrated. My husband, he got so frustrated. He's like, just sign me up. And I was like, okay, let's sign you up, because I was placing under like customers under everybody else to promote. And he was like, just sign me up and then place the customers under me. And like, then he would get like hyped when he got a shopping spree. Even to this day, like if I place somebody on his team, he's like, I'd do a triple diamond. I'm like, okay, yeah, thanks for doing all the work. No. So it's just one of those things where I think, looking back, if I could tell myself one thing, is that it's going to happen. And that's what I want to tell you guys tonight, is it's going to happen. But the biggest thing is you just have to believe it's going to happen, because if you do, consider it done. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I promise. And I wish I could just like go back and tell myself, like, it's going to happen. Like, keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep stepping, keep working when you don't feel like anything's paying off, keep going when people tell you no, keep going when people make fun of you, keep going when people quit. Like, you will hit your goal. And that is probably like the most impactful thing that like I want to tell you guys.
Now, you've been in how long? Because you went ambassador this year.
I've been in, I went ambassador right before my 4-year anniversary.
Okay. So 4 years. So see, not everyone, it doesn't happen for everyone in 18 months or 5 months. We got to pay dues, and we have to learn, and we have to grow. And what I love is that it was your husband that encouraged you from the very start to do this and do it. Stay in it and do it. I love that, because not a lot of men are big encouragers of their wives doing anything. Some don't care. Some just throw a pity.
Well, and that doesn't mean that it's always been easy. Yeah, he definitely was like, he always says like he was skeptical of the business, but he believed in me.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that that's something that like from a male standpoint is like, and something that I tell a lot of my team when they struggle with like a relationship status is, and one thing that he said too that's really good is, if your man is not necessarily supporting you or your significant other, one thing to do is go and write out like, where do we want to be 3 years from now or 5 years from now? Yeah. And once you guys figure that out, you ask yourself, okay, so what are we going to do differently than what we're doing now in order to accomplish that? Okay. And then it's like, oh, you're not just doing this because you want to be some social media influencer. You're doing it because you want to help our family. You're doing it because there's a bigger purpose, and you guys work on that together, right? And you have that vision together. And so I think that like was some of the best advice that like he's given, as far as like from a male's perspective, is looking at like, where do we want to be? Mm-hmm. I know that the first time, like I think it was after my Ruby paycheck, I bought him this like $350 like golf thing, and it was like, just to tell you how far away you are from your ball, but it's really precise. And he would like, it was like such a big moment for me, because like it was something I was able to give to him that like before we wouldn't have been able to afford, and I think helping, if you have a spouse who maybe isn't super supportive or just feels very distant, like they're not connected to what you're doing, connect them to what you're doing through, what do they want? What do they need? What would, if they had $500, what would they do with it? Mm-hmm. And then you guys can get on the same page, and they can understand like, what is the purpose that they're really doing this for? And then you're going to be able to want to work harder to help them, knock off some of their dreams, and whether they're big, small, whether it's a present or whatever, you're going to be able to kind of knock those things off together.
And I'll throw in with that, just once you do that, because Adam and I kind of did the same thing, we have what we call dream date nights where we'll go out and set new goals and new dreams for maybe the next year. We've had to do that a couple of times this year as life has happened. So we, kind of alter our dream boards a little bit with time because we want to make sure that we're 100% debt free. And so putting those priorities straight, but also ladies and gents, whoever's on, you putting in the work, because I know there are some husbands that get frustrated with their wife because they spend 8 or 9 months and there's nothing that's happened. And so then their husband isn't supportive. And sometimes it's just because there's nothing that's happened with the business. So I think there's a fine line there, because I faced a lot of that with some girls on our team. If nothing's happened and there's been no signing of customers or distributors, he's allowed to be frustrated after a certain amount of months, because if you joined for that extra money and there's nothing coming in, there's gotta be some leeway in that and some communication with that as well. So, okay. So you've mentioned that you're a red personality. So how do you build your business using your color?
So I'm red and blue. So I actually think the secondary color is like just as important as the first. And just because your red is going to look different if your secondary is yellow, and then your red is going to look different if your secondary is green. And so I think that understanding too what your secondary color is as well, because my blue like drives a lot of how my red comes out, right? Because a blue is like a visionary and they're impulsive and they like the spotlight and all of those things. But like if you're a red yellow, you're red and you're driven and you're motivated, but your yellow side of you is like, you're very compassionate and considerate and want everybody to be a part of a team. And so your red's going to come out a lot differently. Does that make sense to everybody? And so know what your secondary color is as well. If you're red green, like my people on my team who are red green, when I call them and I'm just like trying to build a relationship with them, like, like I have a ton of leaders who are red green, and I'll be like, hey girl, what's going on? They're like, what's up? Like they don't want like the small talk, because they're like all about getting results. I'm putting my head down and I'm getting to work. Now, that doesn't mean they don't need a relationship with me. They definitely do, but like they're just more results oriented people. Now, because of that, then they need a little bit more help on the leadership side, a little bit more help on like how to connect with their team and how to, so like there is like definite strengths and weaknesses with each of them. Mm-hmm. I'm red blue, so I have 0% green. I'm not organized at all. Okay. If you guys like were like, how do you run your business? Like it makes sense in my head, but it would not make sense to anybody else. And so that's just that. And I think one of the biggest things is being able to work your like business within your color personality is really just starts with self-awareness, and you will be able to be successful with whatever color personality you have, as long as you're self-aware of what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Okay. And not everybody fits into the box, but just knowing, hey, this is something I need to be aware of that I can struggle with. Like I struggle if I don't have a schedule, but I hate schedules. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I've done is I've made more of a routine than a schedule. Okay. I read books that are based on like habits because I have all the inspiration. Like I don't need the inspiration. Like some people who are like yellow blues really need sometimes that inspiration and people to speak life into them and whatever. But like for me, like I have that inspiration. I see the big vision. I see the big picture. So what I need is to develop habits that are going to keep me in my lane. Because of that, because I have that big picture, I sometimes don't see the details. And so I need to be aware of that. And so I think it's just important to be able to work your business within your personality. But the only way you can do that is if you're aware of it. So for me, like I said, I need to make sure I have a routine going on. I try to get everything that I need to do. Like recently I've started waking up at 5 a.m., which I know sounds crazy, but I have a 3 and 4-year-old, and I work really good in the morning, but I'm a night owl. Okay. Cause like I have FOMO. That's the blue part of me, is like, I just don't want to miss anything. And I don't like want anybody having any fun without me. Like I need to be there for everything. And so I've really had to learn how to like discipline myself to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier, because that's when I'm most efficient and effective. I love being up late at night, but my brain is done by then. like I act like, I mean, I used to just like sit on the couch and be like, I'm working, but like I would be scrolling and commenting on like It Works people's posts. Like that's not making me money. That's not income producing. And so just being self-aware and learning as you grow through the business. So I'm trying to think what else that I do to like work. Oh, and like if you're a red too, if you have red in you, you can kind of have the ability to bulldoze people because you're so focused on like what your goal is, right? You're so focused on what your goal is that you don't see like who you're side swiping in the process. Okay. Because you're so focused on where you're going, and that's not a bad thing. It's just being aware and looking around. It's like when you're driving, right? Like reds will just like run stoplights and just do whatever they need to do. But like if you're a red, you just have to be aware of like, hey, sometimes I have to yield. Sometimes I need to stop. Sometimes I need to slow down. And that's okay too. And that your red is going to help motivate so many other people. So there's definitely sides to each of them. I could go on. I love the color personalities so much, and I could speak on them for like hours because I think it's just helped me so much in my leadership, and learning like what other people need, because I've failed so much in leadership that like when I first got started in the business, I've ran so many people off just by trying to like force them to do something and not truly understanding what motivates them. Because what motivates me is not going to be what motivates them. Like if somebody was like, great, Kelsey, like you're going to do this and you're going to like help so many people feel like they're such a part of this team, like that's not like something that motivates me. But like if somebody was like, you're about to make hella money and you're about to help a lot of people along the way, and you're going to have so much fun when you do it, I'll be like, I'm in. Right. And so it's just using the language. The language is everything. Cause I'm like, when I first got started, I'm like, these people are leaving so much money on the table. Like, I don't understand. And I would get so frustrated with people. But like, then I realized like everybody needs money, but not everybody is motivated by money. And understanding like how to get on their level and like speak to them eye to eye, whether that's doesn't mean it's a higher level or lower level. It's just where are they so I can speak to them. Because if I'm speaking to a yellow blue, I know that facts and figures are not going to motivate them. I know that they don't see the bigger vision. And what I need to give them is like, yellows, you guys are the hardest workers. If you tell a yellow to do something, they're going to freaking do it. Okay. But they need the direction. And so for me, I'm not like that. Like you just say like, okay, go make $500. I'm like, okay, I just need like 5 distributors and I'll get $500 in fast starts. And then like, I can do the rest. But like yellows need like, this is the message you should send out. And this is how you should do it when you respond. And it's like, they want that process. And that was something that I didn't understand when I first got started. So like, I love the color personalities because I think that it just has helped me be able to relate to so many different people on my team and connect with them and speak it in their language.
So memorizing the colors. Because see, I'm red blue and I'm very, very red and I'm ADD and it's like you. When I joined, they said, how much money do you want to make? And I said, all of it. I knew nothing about the compensation plan. I knew nothing.
And you probably still don't know that much because I don't either, because I'm not that detail oriented. I'm like, okay, like I know how to make money, but like I am not a comp plan expert because it's so detailed for me. It drains me. Like it literally drains me to like learn those details. Like if somebody's like, okay, run a report and create an Excel document, I like want to run away and hide. Okay. Cause that's like way too detailed for me. But people who are green, like Taylor Kaufman, who's amazing. She's one of the girls on my team, and we lead so well together because she's a yellow green and I probably actually drive her bonkers, and she's a red green and I'm a red blue, and she's so organized. Okay. But also when she panics, what she does is she builds systems. She's like, okay, we need a system and we need this 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 contest and we need this system. And I'm sitting here like, I'm just going to motivate people and I'm just going to go live on the team page and I'm just going to hype people up. And then, so like, we just have said like, that's what happens. Like that's what your color personality will tell you about yourself. And just kind of give you, I always say like, cause if you know that those road bumps are going to come, cause they're going to come, at least if you know they're there, you can slow down and brake before. But have you ever ran over a speed bump and like you just totally jacked up your car? You're like, oh God, I think my whole car just broke. Like I've definitely done that. And that's what will happen if you're not aware of how your personality can affect how you lead, how you run your business, how you talk to your team, how you're disciplined, or if you're not disciplined, because some people are so disciplined and they're so focused on what they need to do, they forget about the people that they've signed. And so like, there's just like good and bad to everything. Right. And so just understanding like I'm 60%, no, 40% red. No, hold on. Let me think about this. Yeah. This is me. 60% red, 30% blue, 10% yellow. And literally the test said 0% green. I always say I'm negative green.
I need to retake it because I think I have more green than 0. But see, yellow is my hardest thing. It always has been, because I put a 1 in the comments if you're just one of those people that you're like, get it done. That's just always how I've been, even in groups in like high school. If there was a project to be done, I'm not depending on you. I'm just going to get it done. And I'm like you, Kelsey. I've run some people off and run some people over in my business, and it's still a learning process. To all of you who are still here, thank you. I appreciate your ministry. Okay, so we're coming up on the end of the year. We're coming up on conference, and this is probably your 5th conference that you've gone to. 4th.
My first one was in 2016, so it'll be my 4th.
Me too. Okay. So what is the biggest tip that you could give people between now and when it's time for conference?
Okay. Well, first off, let me talk about conference for a second. Number 1, if you're going to conference, drop like a 4 in the comments. Okay. Let me know if you're going to conference. And the biggest piece of advice I can give you, oh my God, so many of you, that's so awesome. I'm so excited to meet you guys. When you make sure you come and say hi to me. So when you go to conference, on the plane ride there, or a week before you go, or even now, what I need you to do is I need you to set your intention for what do you want out of conference? What are you looking to get from conference? Because it goes back to that old saying of like, when you get a new car, you feel like, oh, I haven't really seen that much of that car. And then once you drive it off the lot, you see that freaking car everywhere, right? Because you notice it more, and it was just there the same amount before, but because you notice it, it's the same thing with your intention for conference. Like if you don't know what you're looking for, you're like, yeah, I'm inspired, but like, I don't know. But if you're like, I'm looking to connect with somebody who has my same story, or I am looking for some inspiration, I'm looking to dream bigger, like you're going to find it when you're looking for it. Okay. The second thing that I will tell you is when you're at conference, make sure that you are looking at the people who are leaders. Okay. You're looking at the leaders. You're looking at what they're doing and what they're not doing. Okay. And this is something that I feel like I've done a pretty good job of, just because I've been like very observant, but like look at how they act, how they treat people. And I'm going to tell you, some of them are examples and some of them are warnings of what not to do. Okay. And so everybody's a human, but like, you're going to see somebody and they might not be so nice to somebody who comes up with them and asks them to take a picture. And then you're going to see other people who literally make somebody feel like they're the most important person in the room. There's going to be other people who you see them like, gosh, they're already working so hard. Like I see them working like all the time. Like, and you're like, dang, that's what it takes. Right. And so you're going to be so observant. So I encourage you to like be intentional about what do you want to get out of conference, and what are the people who are successful doing? And what do you want to be known for? Like when you see people walk across that stage, what do you want people to say about you? Okay. So, that's it. So for the next 90 days or however long we have, I think the biggest thing that I would tell you is to start building your belief. And the only way you can build your belief is by doing it. Okay. Like you're not going to be like, and it kind of goes hand in hand. So I guess there's 2 parts. You're going to build your belief, not just by doing it, but by believing that you can do it. Okay. Because I could send out the same amount of messages as you at the same exact message, but there is something to be said for the energy that goes into it. Like, it's to be the same exact message. But what happens if I'm sending them out and the vibes are so good and I'm just like, maybe I just even put like one extra explanation point, or maybe I'm sending a voice message with it or whatever. My belief is going to be very contagious. It's like the difference between Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, y'all. You can tell that the people who work at McDonald's are not as happy as the people who work at Chick-fil-A. And it's just an energy. And it's the way that they treat you, the way that they interact with you, the customer service that they provide, everything that makes you want to go back there. And so if people kind of see that, then they're like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that this person is so confident and they're going to be able to borrow your belief. And if you don't have that belief, go borrow it from Amanda. Okay. Like borrow it from somebody that does have that belief and let them pour into you. Okay. Let them pour into you. And I always say there's 4 things that you have to believe in. And this is, somebody asked about book recommendations. So I'll give you some in just a second based on each one of these categories. Number 1, you have to believe in network marketing as a business. Okay. Number 2, you have to believe in It Works Global. Number 3, you have to believe in our products. And number 4, you have to believe in yourself. If your business is not where you want it to be, one of those 4 beliefs is not a 10 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10. Okay. So, if you don't know that much about network marketing and you're not that educated on it, because I was not, like, I knew nothing about it. I literally knew absolutely nothing. I didn't know anybody who had done this before, like actually personally know them or anything. So the books I would recommend, number 1 is Beach Money, which is really good. It's just short, easy, quick read. You could get through it in like a day, 2 days. Okay. The second one is called The 4-Hour Work Week. Okay. Those are both really good. And then GoPro by Eric Worre is really good, but those 2 are my favorite is Beach Money and The 4-Hour Work Week. Now, if you're struggling with believing in yourself, okay, number 1, you have to really address why. And you have to be raw with yourself. Like, what do you feel like makes you different than anybody else? Than anybody else who's successful? Is it that you feel like you don't have the work ethic? Is it feel like you're not skinny enough? You're not pretty enough? You don't have the education. You're not a good speaker. You don't know how to connect with people. What is it that you're struggling with? And then find something to help grow that. Because you guys, I just feel like you can learn anything. In the age that we're in, there's so many books. Like this book, if you're like a red blue like me, or even if you have blue as 1 or 2, like your first or secondary color, this book is for you. This is called Atomic Habits. Okay. And it's all about building habits. Okay. And like easy, like simply building habits. Okay. Because we aren't just like what we say we're going to do. We are what we do. Okay. And that's so important to remember, because like I have like the best intentions sometimes. And I'm like, I'm going to get so much done today. I put all this stuff down and I'm so motivated to do it. And then it doesn't happen because sometimes my habits aren't good. And so it's really going back and being honest and vulnerable with yourself so that you can say that. So that you can figure out, what do I need to fix? So this is something that I've been working on this past year, is really getting my habits right. Now there's so many books I could recommend if you're struggling with yourself as a leader. Anything John Maxwell is amazing. Developing the Leader Within You is one of my favorites. If you struggle with communication, typically this is Red Greens. I would say Everyone Communicates, Few Connect is really good. Everyone Communicates, Few Connect is really good for people who are red greens. And if you're blue, a really, really good book for you is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That one is really good. And I'm trying to think, I have so many more, but it also starts with just like your faith and just figuring out like, what did God put me on this earth to do? Like, because that is something that if you're doubting yourself, you're doubting the Lord. And I think that that's something that you kind of just have to be honest with yourself with. Another thing, my actually one of the most transformational books in this business that I've read is called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. If you are struggling with, like, let's say nobody in your family has really made a lot of money before, let's say you don't, like, for you, feeling comfortable would be just putting food on the table. Like, you couldn't even dream of buying like a Louis Vuitton, like yourself. You couldn't even dream of buying like freaking Dior shoes or extra makeup, like whatever it is. Like, you need to read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Okay. Because people who grew up in a certain socioeconomic status, like 90% of the time, actually it's more than that, it's like 97% of the time, I think is a statistic, you stay in the same economic status that you're brought up in. Okay. And it's just a habit, right? It's just what you know. And so if you know better, you do better. And so I'm trying to tell you how you can know better is by going and get that book. Going and getting Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It is so good. It changed everything for me from like just a money standpoint and how I viewed money, and kind of the things that I needed to fix when it came to that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to cover.
There's Rachel Jones sent me this book, The Success Commandments, Devon Franklin, and he wanted to be a director, writer, all the things, but he knew God was calling him to do it in Hollywood. He grew up in church, committed Christian, but he knew the church gave him what he needed as far as belief in himself, belief in God, knowing that God gave him certain talents that only he could use, but he was going to use them in Hollywood. And he's done that. But he felt stuck for a lot of years. It took some years bringing the coffee, doing the thing. So transfer that to our business. Sometimes we got to message a lot. We got to sow, we got to plant a lot of freaking seeds. But then all of a sudden, if we're doing that repetitively, it's going to happen. So if you're feeling stuck, put a 4 in the comments. This is a book that you need to go get. Because I was talking to Rachel, she sent this to me real quick, but it teaches you how to identify how to use what makes you unique to propel your career. So she was talking about colors, so that ties in perfectly. Overcoming the fear and build the courage to pursue the new opportunities, because these are new opportunities every day, connecting with new people. You're going to meet someone tomorrow that could change your business. Gain the confidence to make decisions with greater peace and clarity, because this is a type of business I never thought that I would be involved in as heavily as I am, or even ever. I can kind of have written it off, but desperate times, if you're in a desperate time in your life, it's either going to call you to be braver, or it's going to call you to hide under a rock, and you get to decide which one you're going to do. And I think that some of us, we remain stuck because the unknown is scary, but going back to what we knew before is just as scary to me, depending on where you were, because I know how far I can go. I know I'm meant to be an ambassador diamond, and I will be an ambassador diamond. And I stopped believing that for about 60 days. And can I be transparent? You know what happened within those 60 to 90 days? This girl lost rank because she lost belief. So she's right on when she's talking about setting your intentions. And this isn't just for conference. I mean, we're all going to experience what conference gives to us, to this business. Mark, they are so great at doing so much for us all the time. But do what Kelsey says. Prepare your hearts, prepare your mind. Look at leaders. And I know the ones that I look to. I mean, Kelsey was one of those people in Austin. She was just like, hey girl, hugs. And I told her in a message earlier, like, I was so nervous when I was around her like 2 years ago at the pool. I was like, Kelsey. We were in the same pool. That you build your belief by doing it. If you're scared right now about doing this business, Kelsey, let's talk about that. If there are some new people on here tonight, So can you speak to that anxiety and the nervousness real quick?
Yes. So I think you guys are at like the coolest point in your business right now. Like you just started, and the beautiful thing is you have the pen in your hand. Like, and it's blank. Like that is like so cool. I feel like that is like the part of your business where you're like right now is like where you can truly determine it. Like you don't have to go back and explain things that have already happened. Like you get to start with a fresh slate. Okay. And the people will always come to me and be like, well, I don't have a story like you do. Number one, people don't join to make me money, just so you know. Okay. People don't join and they're like, hey, I'm just joining so I can help you make money. No, they don't care how much money that I'm making. They care how I can help them make money. Okay. And so in order for you to find your story, you have to think about, why did you join this business in the first place? How did you find the business? What attracted you to it? And the first thing I would tell you is to write your story right now. Right now. I'm not talking about your story within It Works, but your story as a human, and then what led you into this business, and then talk about where you want to go. Okay. And what it's going to do for you. So I'm joining this business because I want to pay off, $12,000 in student loans. I'm joining this business so that I can, say yes to my daughter's dance lessons. I'm joining this business because I want to be able to pay for hair and nail money that my daycare expenses are taking away. Whatever that is for you, you have to say that that's what this business is going to do. I always use the example because people are like, well, I don't want to like lie and like make stuff up. I'm like, when's the last time somebody asked you, like when you were in high school, when did they say, what year are you graduating? You said 2 years from now. You didn't know if you were going to graduate 2 years from now. You had no clue what was going to happen. But was your intention? Absolutely. So stop acting like you can't say that you're going to go ruby, that you can't say you're going to go diamond. It doesn't matter. Nobody's putting a time limit on you. Nobody's putting a time frame on you. Just claim it. If that's what you want, go out there and get it. This book, I'm going to read you a little snippet because it's so good. And it kind of goes to it. It's this Atomic Habits one that I was telling you about. But it says the most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do, right? Each habit not only gets you results, but it teaches you something far more important: to trust yourself. You start believing that you can actually accomplish these things. When the votes mount up and the evidence begins to change, the story you tell yourself begins to change as well. Of course, it works the opposite way too. Every time you choose to perform a bad habit, it's a vote for that identity. The good news is that you don't need to be perfect. In any election, there are going to be votes for both sides. You don't need a unanimous one to win an election. You just need a majority. And that like really helped like free me from some things, because I think I had these like perfectionist expectations of myself. Whether that, I mean, it's not just in the business, you guys, it's in like working out, or it's in like being a good mom, or it's in being a good wife or whatever. And it's saying like, I'm not just somebody who reads books. I'm a reader. Like my goal this month isn't to be disciplined. My goal, like I don't have to be disciplined because I'm a disciplined person. Like it's just part of who I am. And so when you start replacing like my goal is to read 6 books, it's like you don't even have to set that goal anymore because you're a reader. So that's just something you do. It's not like it's just part of your identity, right? And so that really helped me. And so new identities require new evidence. And so when you're first starting into this business, you have to decide, who do you want to be? Right? Who do you want to be? So do you want to be like, and I'm not talking about like what rank specifically. I'm just talking about like, do you want to be somebody who can go out to eat and pay for their parents' meals? Do you want to be generous? Do you want to be, disciplined? Do you want to be confident? What is it that you are looking to be? And then you have to prove it to yourself in those small wins. Okay. And that will change your belief. That will grow your belief in yourself. And it's kind of like, one of the questions that he talks about in here is, he says, many people aren't sure where to begin, but they do know the kind of results they want. They want to get a 6-pack abs, or they want to feel less anxious, or to double their salary. That's fine. Start there and then work backwards from the results that you want to the type of person who could get those results. So for example, who is the type of person that would get the outcome I want? Who is the type of person that could lose 40 pounds? Who's the type of person that would go diamond? Who's the type of person that goes ambassador. Okay. And then figuring that out, because it's probably somebody who's consistent and somebody who's reliable. Right. And so it's not about having something. It's not about doing something. It's about becoming someone. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I think that's great. Do you guys have any questions for Kelsey? No, I think all of that is great, and reading books is not part of my discipline. I like to listen to things. I'm more of an audible person, although this book has been great, and I have actually finished a few books since I started my career, maybe like 8, which isn't a lot in 4 years, but it's something, and it's something that I never used to do. Emily's asking, what are your daily 6?
Posting, messaging, following up, adding to your network, self-development, and checking in with my team. And then I did want to read this other part to you, because this is so good. And I know that you said something about being stuck. And something that I actually like really love this weekend that I learned is I kind of hit this, like, after I hit Ambassador, I was like, it was kind of like anticlimactic emotionally for me.
Really?
Okay. If I'm being honest, like I thought like I would be falling out on the ground, like just so pumped, like so excited. I'm not saying I wasn't excited, but like, I guess I just had this expectation. And I was talking to Kay Dixon, Pam's daughter, about it. And I was like, I just struggled with that. Cause I was like, I'm not trying to be greedy. Like and she's like, well, yeah, of course it was anticlimactic. You already had decided you were going to do it a long time ago. Like it was already done in your head. And I was like, dang, that's so true, right? Like when you already decide something's done, like it's done, like, and that's how I felt. Like I knew it was going to happen and I had that confidence. And so, yeah, of course it's great, but like, it's really learning that like as achievers, like high achievers, like a lot of times it can be you're chasing something that you don't really, that like you need to have something else before you accomplish that last one. This wasn't like probably the best thing that I learned from this book. And it says, he talks about how not like try to not be so focused on the goals and focus on the systems. And I was like, what? Like we've always been taught like set these goals, set goals, set goals, set goals, set goals, right? And it's not saying to not set goals. But what he was saying is winners and losers have the same goals.
I'm gonna write that down. That's good.
And he said goal setting suffers from a serious case of survivorship bias. We concentrate on the people who end up winning and mistakenly assume that ambitious goals led to their success while overlooking all the people who had the same objectives but didn't succeed. Every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get the job. And if successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal can't be what differentiates the winners from the losers. If it wasn't the goal of winning, then it wasn't the goal of winning that puts you at the top of the sport or the top of your business. Everyone wants to win the race when they begin. The goal is always there, but it's only when you have a system of continuous small improvements that you achieve a different outcome. Wow. And I was like, dang, like that's so true. Like, and I always like tell myself like my goal is not necessarily like it's to get better every single day, right? To be better today than I was yesterday. It's not to be X person. It's not to be Y person. Now, can I learn from people? Absolutely 100%. But I need to learn how I can take that ingredient from that person that I really love and then make my own recipe. Right? It's not like every dish that you cook that has parsley in it tastes the same. Mm-hmm. A lot of things with parsley in it you're using it on so many different things. Same with salt, same with peppers. Like I'm taking all these things from different people and I'm putting them in and putting my own spin on it. Then that's truly where God can come in and do the rest.
I love it.
And so that was super big. And then this is, and I'm sure some of it, Amanda, happened like after you promoted, some of like just feeling like, okay, what next? Right? Like, it's kind of like I did this and I accomplished this big goal. And then like the next one feels very scary and very far away. And so this really helped me. He said the other problem is achieving a goal is only a momentary change. Achieving a goal only changes your life for the moment. That's the counterintuitive thing about improvement. We think that we need to change our results, but our results aren't the problem. What we really need to change are the systems that cause those results. When you solve problems at the results level, you're only going to solve them temporarily. In order to improve something for good and lasting results, you need to solve the problems at the systems level. Fix the inputs and the outputs will change themselves.
I love that, because for so long, well, not so long, but for a while there, people were saying post to post isn't working. It's working for me again. And I think it's the same thing that you said earlier. It's the energy that I was putting behind them, because it wasn't a positive.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this doesn't work. Nobody's going to comment on this. Nobody's going to respond. If they do respond, like whatever. But he says when you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. You can be satisfied anytime your system is running. And that is something that I've had to learn, because for me, I feel like if you're chasing the goal, you can only be happy when the goal happens. But if any of you guys have hit a rank or even achieved like a weight loss goal or any goal in your life, it's good. But then what's the first thing that enters your mind? Oh, well, I just want 5 more pounds. Yeah. Oh, okay. I hit Ambassador. Now I need to go diamond on my 2.0. Oh, I hit diamond. Okay. Now I got to go double. Like, even like we don't give ourselves a chance to celebrate. And I'm not saying there's necessarily anything wrong with that, which you should give yourself a chance to celebrate, but you have to realize that you can't have your happiness dependent on where you are in your business. Your happiness has to be every single time your systems are up and running. So like every single time, even if you haven't re-ranked in the system yet, even if you haven't promoted in the system, because your systems are up and running smoothly, you know, it's just a matter of time before it happens. And I'm like, dang, that is so good, because then you're not just living. And then what happens in all the in-between time? Oh, I'll be happy when I hit Ambassador. I'll be happy when I hit Prez. And then when you hit it, what happens? The next goal happens. And so you're restricting your happiness to just those small moments, which is actually kind of depressing.
Yeah.
And so making sure that you're kind of taking a step back and recognizing like there's so much in between and in the process that's so fun, and there's so much growth that happens, that if we don't look at that, of course we're going to have negative feelings towards the business, because we're going to be beating ourselves up. It's not going to be fun. But if you can look back and say, dang, a week ago I wasn't able to wake up at 5. Dang, a week ago I was planting all these seeds and now I'm seeing a couple of them sprout. Dang, a week ago my belief was here, but now it's here. And you're able to kind of see like, holy crap, like this is fun. Like growing is fun. Progress is fun. And progress is not just a rank. It's not just a rank. And sometimes like setting those goals, and I preach this to my team all the time, because we get so caught up, and I'm like, not, trust me. And Amanda can get off the Zoom and be like, okay, don't listen to what Kelsey said. But I'm not saying don't have a goal. But what I'm saying is make sure you're looking at the growth that happens before, like in between the time that you have the goal and you hit the goal, because that's truly what lets you hit the goal. Right? It's not just having the goal that's going to allow you to hit the goal. It's the work that happens in between there that's actually going to allow you to hit the goal. And so if you just focus so much on the goal, it's going to interfere with your long-term progress. I feel like he had like a really good quote in here about this. He said, true long-term thinking is goalless thinking, because it's not about one single accomplishment. You don't ever arrive. It's about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. Ultimately, it's your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. And so I want to speak that to you guys, and just to let you know, like, look how far you've come. Okay. And stop looking at just like, stop looking at just like what eSuite says, stop looking at whatever, but like there are so many lessons that have to be learned before eSuite can start changing. There's so many things that have to internally shift before there's an external growth. Okay. And I just want to say to you guys, like, it's going to happen, but just because you don't want to walk through the hard times doesn't mean that it's not coming. And people often say, I know I'm rambling, but like people often say like faith and fear can't coexist. And I was listening to the sermon the other day and it was like, that's actually wrong.
Yeah.
They were like, that's actually wrong. They have to coexist. Like you can't choose faith if you don't have the fear. Because you have nothing to be faithful for.
That's right.
And I was like, wow, that's so true, right? Like if we're working with this thing of like, oh, we have to pick faith over fear. It's like, and we can't ever fear. That's false, you guys. Stop beating yourself up for having those, for going through the hard times and thinking that God is punishing you. God is not a punish God. He is not somebody who's going to condemn us. Okay. But what he will do sometimes is leave us in situations that we've put ourselves in until we've learned a lesson, until he knows that. And one of the prayers that I pray every single day is, Lord, do not give me any blessings further than my character can sustain me.
Wow.
And understanding, like we were talking about earlier, like I want to be the type of person that can be like, I need to be a black diamond internally before externally I'm going to be able to achieve that, before he's going to be able to bless me with that. And having that responsibility. And so I ask you guys, like, number one, if you were to get a diamond paycheck right now, no, let's raise the bar. Let's say if you were to get $10,000 from It Works deposited into your bank account right now, do you even know what you would do with it? Do you even know what you would do with it? Are you prepared to receive that blessing? Because here's the thing is, if tithing was not one of the first things that popped into your mind, you're not ready for it. You're not ready for it. I'm just going to be 100% honest. And I'm not here to like preach to you and like be up on like, a pulpit or anything like that. But what I am here to tell you is I was so focused on how this was going to help me and how this was going to help me and how this is going to help me and how this is going to help me and relieve all this stress off me that I'm going to tell you, money does not change you. It makes you more of what you already are. And so it will reveal a lot of your character. And so you have to recognize like, holy crap, like, am I even ready? If you're praying like, Lord, send me all of these distributors. I want to chart myself for this promotion. Okay. You're praying it. If 20 distributors popped into your eSuite tomorrow, would you know how to train them? Would you know how to train them? Do you have the system in place? And if the answer is no, you're not thinking like the promotion that you want to hit.
It's so good.
You're not thinking like that. And so I had to force myself to level up. Somebody said to me before I went ambassador, I think I was like a triple at this point, and they were like, so what systems do you have in place? And I was like, I run a cab report. And like I had like 2 things that I did. And they were like, that's not how an ambassador runs their team. And I was like, you're right. Like, I don't even know what to say to you because you're right. Like, let me just put my tail between my legs and go walk off and hide in a corner somewhere. But like, that's the stuff that we need to hear, right? In order for us to move forward is like, this business is a little bit counterintuitive in the sense of, let's say you're working at a store, you get promoted to manager, then your tasks change, right? It's the opposite. You can't promote to diamond if you're not working like a diamond right now. You can't promote to double if you're not working like a double right now. You can't promote to prez if you're not working like a prez. And I'm not even talking about work, guys. I'm talking about this too. I'm talking about, is your belief the same? Is your belief the same as a presidential diamond? Is your belief the same as a double diamond? Is your belief the same? And if not, level the F up your circle. Level up. Stop making excuses for the people that are in your life that are dragging you down and tearing you down. I know, I feel like I'm so like rambling. I'm like, sorry.
No, this is fire. I'm sorry. I'm loving it. No, this is exactly, You know, for those of us, or those of me, who have just had kind of this fog for about 30 days. I had this fog. It kind of started when I went to the hospital for a seizure at the end of September. And this fog just kind of lingered. This, put a one in the comments if you relate, just this, I don't know what to do next. I know that I've done it before, but it's almost like you can't move.
It's like a lack of clarity.
Yes. I knew how to lead before, but how do I go forward from here? But this is so funny that you just said this. I put it on my Instagram today, I think. Okay. It says, an hour before this photo, I was having a mini breakdown, feeling like an enormous failure, and the words from a former professor rang loud in my head, "You'll never amount to anything." Fighting through your own thoughts are some of the hardest battles you'll ever face. And so for about 60 days, I was trying to do that. But then on Halloween morning, that fog lifted. Like, I felt the lift. Have you ever felt like literally it just was lifted? When the thing that had obscured my vision, impaired my movement, or jumbled my thoughts. Have you ever felt that when it's all of a sudden gone? To me, that was God removing the fog from me, then saying, "This wasn't from me, but I kept you there with my hand safely to teach you. So what have you learned?" And that's what I came up with yesterday. What did I learn? And as hard of a lesson as that was a hard question for me to answer, because I'd never been in that specific place. It'd been a long, long, long time. And what got me there, what kept me there, and I don't want to be there again. So like Kelsey's saying, you got to change the systems. You've got to solve the problems and level up, because I can't go back there again. You can't go back there again. So I think this last 10 minutes has been fire. I loved it.
Yeah. And I just want to say, to you too, that's such a great question to ask yourself. I got chills when you read that last part of what have you learned? So what have you learned? If he's keeping you there, like he's trying to teach you something. So what have you learned? And I think reflecting on that, and that's just being intentional. That's being intentional in every season of your life. And to know, you're going to learn more from those tough times than you are from the good ones. And also just saying to yourself, like, one thing that I've stopped doing is whenever I've felt that way, I've stopped speaking into it. I've stopped speaking into it, because I've realized the only thing that does is make it worse. It is not constructive. Like if I go and I talk to like one of my friends and I'm like, "Are you feeling this way?" Like, "I'm feeling this way." No, I'm talking to somebody who's not feeling that way. So then I can get that, and they're going to give me clarity based on what they're saying. And their confidence is going to resonate with me, because so often we just want to connect with people, right? We're just like connecting. And Tony Robbins says the biggest addiction in our society is problems. Because people want to connect, and all they want to connect with is through its problems, instead of connecting through the successes. And so one thing that I've learned to do is, in those moments, because I definitely have those days, but I don't let them last longer than days. Because in the Bible, it even says his mercies are made new every morning. Every morning. That doesn't mean we have to wait a month. That doesn't mean we have to wait, a week. It doesn't mean that we have to wait till, January 1st. It means every single morning his mercies are made new. And if anybody is feeling that way, I would suggest that you do journal. Because journaling is so powerful, just to get your thoughts right and to get very clear on that. I wanted to end and read you guys a scripture that was spoke to me this weekend, and it's so good I can't even not share it with you. It's from Leviticus. It's Leviticus 26:9. Let me find it. I don't know. No, I wouldn't be able to find it. The devil. Okay. It's I just sent it to one of my girls. Let me find it there. It's worth the wait, I promise. says, I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. I'm going to repeat it. I will look on you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. And what I want you guys to do is just recognize it's not your job to go get the blessing. You don't have to go get the blessing. It's already there for you. It's your job to be faithful. That's it. Stop trying to go chase the blessing. Chase the steps and put one foot in front of the other and do the next right thing for your business. And I promise you, the blessing will be poured out. You won't have to go get it. You won't have to grab it and hold on to it. You won't have to grasp it. It'll just be overflowing on you. Okay? But it's your job to be faithful, and he will give you the blessing. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much. I know it was like all over the place and totally
random. I don't want to say anything else. That last sentence was like perfect. Awesome. I knew like every speaker that we've had has just been like the right timing for that specific person. And this was so good. You're just amazing. I hope you know that.
You're amazing. Do you mind if I close out in prayer?
Oh, please do. I'd love it. Thank you.
Okay. Dear Jesus, I just want to say thank you so much for Amanda, and thank you so much for every single person that hopped on this Zoom. I ask that anything that I spoke, it was pleasing to you, and that it helped somebody in some way in their business or outside of their business. I ask that you just enlarge our territory, Lord, that you give us all the blessings that our character can sustain, not more, not less, but that you just stretch us and you grow us. And we are so excited for the season of growth that is upon us, whether that's internally or externally. We are just equally as grateful for both of those. And just let us not cling to the blessings that you've already given us, but just to praise you for them with open hands so that we can receive even more blessings that we know you are so excited and so willing to give us. Just pray a prayer of protection over Amanda and her health and everybody's health who's on this. And I ask that our life is just the work of what you've put us on this earth to do. And that we can be your hands and your feet so that when we arrive and meet you and see your face, that you can say, well done, good and faithful servant. You used everything that I've given you. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Girl, I love you. I appreciate you. And send me your address.
You're so welcome. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.